What if the cure for some of the most terrifying diseases out there wasn't cooked up in a billion-dollar lab? What if it wasn't some marvel of genetic engineering or a complicated synthetic molecule? What if it was just this, a common weed? Something you might pull out of your garden and toss away without even thinking about it. For centuries, this plant, Artemisia, was just a footnote in old medical books. But its story is one of the greatest comebacks in the history of medicine. It's a story of how ancient wisdom, long forgotten, was rediscovered to save millions of people from a global plague. And now, that same ancient weed is being aimed at a new enemy. An enemy that modern medicine is starting to worry it can't defeat. To really get the power of this plant, you first have to understand the enemy it conquered. For thousands of years, humanity has been stalked by a relentless killer. It's a disease carried in the silent bite of a mosquito, and it has caused more death and suffering than almost any other in history. Malaria. Caused by a tiny, single-celled parasite, it unleashes raging fevers and bone-shaking chills, and it can kill you fast. For a big part of the 20th century, we thought we had it beaten. Drugs like chloroquine were celebrated as miracle cures, and there were huge global efforts to wipe the disease out. But the parasite is a master of survival. It evolves. By the 1960s, the drugs that used to work so well were starting to fail. The parasites had developed resistance, creating super strains that could just shrug off our best medicines. Malaria was roaring back, and nowhere was it fiercer than in the jungles of Southeast Asia. During the Vietnam War, the disease was tearing through armies and civilians. North Vietnam, desperate, turned to its ally, China, for help. That desperate plea would kick off a secret military project, one that would change medicine forever. So, in 1967, the Chinese government launched a top-secret mission, code-named Project 523. Its goal was simple and urgent: find a new cure for a drug-resistant malaria. Hundreds of scientists were brought in, screening thousands of compounds and traditional remedies. But for years, it was one dead end after another. Then, in 1969, a young scientist named Tu Youyou was put in charge of a research group. She trained in both Western science and traditional Chinese medicine, and she decided to try something different. Instead of inventing something new, she looked to the past. Her team started a massive search through ancient medical texts, digging through thousands of years of accumulated knowledge. They combed through over 2,000 traditional recipes, eventually narrowing it down to 640 that were believed to treat intermittent fevers, the classic sign of malaria. And one plant kept popping up: Artemisia annua, also known as sweet wormwood. The plant had been used in Chinese medicine for over 2,000 years, but it was a 1,600-year-old text from the 4th century, a handbook of prescriptions for emergencies by a physician named Ge Hong. That held the key. See, the team's first attempts to get the active compound out of the plant weren't working. The extracts showed a little promise in mice, but the results were weak and inconsistent. Frustrated, Tu Youyou went back to Ge Hong's ancient text. She noticed a strange instruction in his recipe. Take a handful of Qinghao, soak in 2 liters of water, strain the liquid, and drink. The key was that the traditional method didn't use boiling, which was the standard way everyone made herbal extracts. Tu had a flash of insight. What if the heat from boiling was destroying the plant's active ingredient? Following that ancient clue, her team switched to a low-temperature, ether-based extraction method. The results were stunning. The new extract was 100% effective at clearing the malaria parasite from infected mice and monkeys. But moving from animals to humans is a huge risk. In an incredible act of courage, Tu Youyou and 2 of her colleagues volunteered to be the first human guinea pigs. They took the medicine themselves to make sure it was safe. It was. Shortly after, they gave the extract to 21 malaria patients, and every single one of them recovered. They had found it. The active compound was isolated and named artemisinin. The world had a new, powerful weapon against malaria. A gift from an ancient weed, unlocked by a forgotten piece of wisdom. The discovery of artemisinin was a massive victory for global health. The Lasker Foundation called its discovery arguably the most important pharmaceutical intervention in the last half-century. Today, artemisinin-based combination therapies, or ACTs, are the World Health Organization's go-to treatment for malaria, saving millions of lives every year. For her incredible work, Tu Youyou was awarded the Nobel Prize in 2015. But just as one battle was being won, a new, even scarier war was starting. For decades, we've lived in the age of antibiotics, miracle drugs that turned deadly bacterial infections into minor problems. But we've overused them, and it has created a monster. Bacteria are evolving resistance at a terrifying speed, creating superbugs, strains of bacteria that are immune to our most powerful drugs. Sepsis, pneumonia, even common infections are becoming untreatable. The World Health Organization has called antibiotic resistance one of the biggest threats to global health. Modern medicine is, in some cases, simply running out of options. So, once again, scientists are turning to nature for answers. And once again, all eyes are on Artemisia. If its compounds could kill the complex parasite that causes malaria, could they also work against these new drug-resistant bacteria? The early results are incredibly promising. A 2024 study looked at multi-drug-resistant E. coli, a common and increasingly dangerous bacterium. It found that an ethanolic extract of Artemisia annua showed significant antibacterial activity against these resistant strains. Another study from 2023 tested a related plant, Artemisia absinthium, and found it had broad-spectrum antibacterial and antifungal activity, concluding it has the potential to be an alternative to classic antibiotics. The research suggests Artemisia doesn't just work like a normal antibiotic. Some studies show its compounds can work with existing antibiotics, essentially making them effective again against resistant bacteria. They seem to attack superbugs in multiple ways. One study on the infamous superbug MRSA found that an artemisinin compound worked by making the bacterial membrane more permeable and messing with its metabolism, a two-punch attack that bacteria find hard to fight. The story of Artemisia is a powerful reminder that there is so much we still have to learn from the natural world. These discoveries, connecting the ancient past with our future, are happening all the time. If you find these hidden histories of science and medicine as fascinating as we do, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next installment here at Genius Health Solutions. The journey of Artemisia is a perfect story for our time. It started as a humble weed, became a secret remedy, was lost to time, and then rediscovered by combining ancient wisdom with modern science to save millions of people. Now it stands as a symbol of hope against the growing crisis of antibiotic resistance. Its story teaches us a vital lesson. The future of medicine might not just be about what we can invent, but also about what we can remember. It reminds us that nature is the most brilliant chemist in the universe, and that for thousands of years, our ancestors were paying very close attention. The cures for tomorrow's plagues might not be waiting in a high-tech lab. They might be waiting in a forest, a field, or a dusty ancient book hidden in plain sight, just like a common weed. Artemisia isn't some weird one-off case. It's part of a much bigger story, a global reawakening to the power of ancient remedies. All over the world, scientists are taking a fresh look at the medicine of our ancestors. In England, researchers recreated a 1,000-year-old Anglo-Saxon recipe for an eye infection known as Bald's eye salve. Made from garlic, wine, and cow bile, it sounds more like something from a witch's cauldron. But when they tested it in the lab, they were blown away to find it was incredibly effective at killing the superbug MRSA. History is filled with these examples. From the moldy bread, ancient Egyptians put on infected wounds, unknowingly using the antibiotic properties of fungi like penicillin, to the willow bark people chewed for pain relief that gave us aspirin. These ancient practices aren't magic. They're the result of thousands of years of human trial and error. They represent a huge library of knowledge, passed down through generations. Of course, there are challenges. Many of these remedies need serious scientific testing to prove they're safe and effective. The active ingredients in a plant can change depending on where it's grown or how it's prepared, which makes things complicated. Artemisia is a large genus of flowering plants belonging to the daisy family with more than 500 species. Artemisia absinthium, or wormwood, may alleviate pain, may fight parasitic infections, and may fight inflammation due to its antioxidant properties. More formal research is needed to confirm these benefits. Artemisia vulgaris, or mugwort, is sometimes called wormwood, though mugwort has its own distinct name and characteristics. Mugwort is used in traditional medicine, but thus far there isn't strong scientific proof for its benefits. As a general rule, do not consume any Artemisia species if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, have epilepsy, or kidney problems. If you experience any adverse effects after consuming or contacting Artemisia, seek medical attention immediately. Gastrointestinal symptoms are often the first to appear, including nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Neurological symptoms can also manifest, leading to dizziness, confusion, and headaches. These signs can vary in intensity depending on the level of exposure. If you have a health condition or are taking medication, consult with a healthcare professional before using any Artemisia products. Thanks for joining us here on Genius Health Solutions. If you learned something, share and subscribe.